Hello, Squirrel Tribe. So today we're going to have a conversation about what is going on at the southern border, but we're going to be talking about it from a different perspective or a different standpoint, if you will. So let's get into this. We have talked about here on this channel, and numerous other channels have talked about it. The news has talked about it. Politicians have talked about it. You've probably talked about it with friends and family over coffee, over lunch, over dinner, or standing in line at the supermarket, right? Because especially if you're waiting for a cashier, there's very few cashiers these days, especially if you go to Walmart and places like that. But anyway, I digress. A lot of people are talking about what is going on at the southern border because the influx of migrants or illegal immigrants, or whichever way you want to say it, the influx of these people is wreaking havoc on a lot of cities and states' monies, if you will. The amount of money that is being given to migrants, illegal immigrants, versus what's going towards the actual citizens of the United States is upsetting and confusing at the same time for a lot of people. Why it's so much money, millions upon millions and almost billions by now, being spent on illegal immigrants and on migrants when we have our own issues here in the good old US of A that we need to take care of and that are being backburnered, if you will, in order to get cell phones for migrants / illegal immigrants, for food, for housing, for clothing, for bank cards, debit cards. New York, Eric Adams in New York, I mean, he's lost his ever-loving mind. Him and Kathy Hochul, I'm pretty sure that's how you say her name. I butcher it every time, but honestly, I don't really care. So there's that. The amount of money they are giving to migrants, I think they said debit cards with $13 a day for meals. That's still more than the residents, the actual citizens of the United States of America in New York are getting for help if they are homeless or whatever else, which is not what we're here to talk about. I'm digressing like crazy and I don't mean to. So what I want to talk about is the fact that Americans are being affected in a much different way than most people are talking about. I'm not talking about financially. I'm not talking about with, their housing and, having to open their doors to help these illegal families, these migrant families. I'm talking about the fact that you have to take into consideration, we don't see every single thing that happens at the southern border. We hear about a lot of it. You see pictures of it. You see little clips of videos and you get some eyewitness testimonies, if you will, but we don't have these really in-depth conversations about what people are dealing with at the border when it comes to their mental health. Think about this. The migrants, the illegal immigrants, the people who are trying to get into the United States out from, Mexico and other countries leading through Mexico, because they're not just Mexicans technically that are crossing the border. It's from numerous different countries. They just happen to be crossing through the Mexico border into the US of A, right? So you have to think about the fact that these people are trying to cross the Rio Grande. It is a massive river. It is huge. It has a current. It is not some simple walk through the park to cross this thing. And yet these families, these individuals are willing to technically risk their lives in the hopes of getting from point A to point B, which to a lot of people says that clearly there's something wrong on this side that they're hoping to fix on this side, or it says that there's nothing wrong on this side, but they're hoping to wreak havoc on this side. Just depends on what side of the coin you're on and how you look at the whole immigration, migrant, illegal immigrant situation, debacle, chaos, whatever you want to call it, if you will. But a lot of people don't take into consideration the fact that the people who are working the southern border or who live at the southern border are seeing what happens when somebody doesn't make it across the Rio Grande. And who do you think they send out to basically pick up the bodies from the water? The local law enforcement, the local firefighters, these men and women, especially firefighters who volunteer to keep their city safe, their town safe, their whatever else, are now being tasked with removing bodies from this river. And it's not just bodies of adults, it's bodies of children. It's bodies of people who, again, are trying to get from point A to point B and just could not make it across this massive river. And then our citizens are then tasked to go out into this same dangerous river to pull in these bodies, to save these bodies, to save these people, to recover bodies and everything else like that. So we're putting our own people in danger in order to help the people that are putting them in danger, if you really want to think about it and look at it from that section or that side. So Eagle Pass has been in the news a lot because they are being inundated with what's going on at the southern border, right? And it says here, first responders in Eagle Pass say they are overwhelmed and increasingly traumatized by what they see. Traumatized. Parents drowned or dying, their children barely holding on to life after attempting to cross the Rio Grande. The emotional strain on these firefighters, these EMTs, I mean, it is huge. You have to think about that. You and I, as regular everyday people, if we had to suddenly, instead of trying to put out a fire, we had to go try to pull dead bodies out of a river or try to save somebody who's drowning, where is the training for that? And where is the emotional support or emotional help for something like that, especially when it's not what you signed up for? Because they signed up to, again, stop fires, save lives in a fire, not in a river. According to this, the city officials in Eagle Pass have applied for a state grant that would bring in additional mental health resources for frontline workers, which, you know, having somebody to talk to is always a positive, but it doesn't negate or stop the emotional distress and things that are going to happen to these people, these first responders, these American citizens in Eagle Pass who are putting their lives on the line to go out into the Rio Grande to save the people or pull in the bodies of the people who can't be saved, right? According to this, Fire Chief Manuel Mello said it's an unprecedented crisis. It's nothing close to what I experienced while I was on the line. It's a whole different monster. Firefighters say the first calls for help usually blare through the 3 stations in Eagle Pass. They have 3 firefighter stations or fire stations while crews are still sipping their morning coffee. Think about it this way. If you and I wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is, yawn, get out of bed, scratch something, stretch something, go fix your coffee and sit down. And before your mind has a chance, or your body has a chance to determine how you're going to feel for the day, what's going to happen in the day, you have these blaring alarms going off saying, hey, more bodies that you need to go pull in. You do that every day over and over. It's going to have a toll on your mental health, whether it is with this or whether you're just a regular, firefighter, a police officer, whether you are in the line of, the Army, the Marines, the Coast Guard, I do this every single time. I go blank on everything. The Navy, and I know there's another one. I don't consider Space Force one of them, but I guess I'm supposed to say that too. And the National Guard, these are still things, they deal with these kind of things all the time too, but these people here in Eagle Pass, they're dealing with a little bit more. It says, parents with young children might be near drowning or trapped on islands somewhere between the United States and Mexico, surrounded by the fierce currents of the Rio Grande. On some shifts, firefighters with the Eagle Pass Fire Department can spend, get this, 3 to 5 hours in the water, helping rescue migrants crossing the river or recovering their drowned bodies. Y'all, that is a huge, huge thing. Am I ever going to think the loss of a life is okay, whether they're illegal immigrants or not? No, I think it sucks that people are dying trying to get from point A to point B. A loss of a life is always horrible, especially when it's the loss of a life of a child. But I also am not pleased at the fact that our men and women are putting their lives on the line to save people or recover bodies of people who are illegally trying to get into this country and using the Rio Grande as a way to do it. Our people are being put in jeopardy because these other people do not want to follow technically the laws and do things the right way. And instead, they are willing to put their lives at risk and the lives of our people. And I have a problem with that. Personally, and that's my personal opinion. Not everybody will agree with that, but personally, I do not like it. Okay. It says here, Eagle Pass has become ground zero in recent months for an unrelenting border crisis that is equal parts political and humanitarian. Again, it depends on what side of the coin you are on. There are plenty of people who, want to say save as many people as you can, and, everybody deserves a chance at happiness. But at the same time, you can say, I feel that way, but I also feel like you should do it legally. I feel like you should do it the right way and not the way it's being done. And I also feel like our government should not reward people for doing illegal things. Right now, we have it in so many states where you can steal things and nothing happens to you. When does this, how far will this go where our government rewards people breaking laws and doing negative things? Like, my phone is getting too hot again, so we got to take this off of here. Hold on, y'all, okay, there we go, bear with me. Thank you. So the issue here is that, again, our men and women are putting their lives on the line to help people who do not care about the lives of our men and women, because if they did, they would not do what they are doing to get into this country. They would do it the right way, right? So for people who are dealing with this whole situation, and not just the people in Eagle Pass, you have police officers, you have regular everyday people who are dealing with the onslaught of these migrants, these illegal immigrants, and what is happening in certain cities. They're all going to need some sort of, probably someone to talk to, some sort of mental health help, if you will. And I think it's important to keep that in mind when we're talking about the crisis at the southern border, that it's not just the crisis of people crossing the border and, taking American funds and American jobs and American homes, because so many people are saying, they have to open their homes up to immigrants. It is still a crisis in the fact of mental health for the people who are dealing with the situation at the southern border, for the troops, for the border patrol, for literally the people living in these areas who are experiencing the onslaught of all this. Mental health is a huge, huge thing. So I just wanted to mention that today, because I think it's important to remember that we do have our own men and women who are putting their lives on the line every single day at the southern border to try to keep other people alive, even if they don't agree that they should be here in the country. And then they are putting their own lives in danger to recover bodies of people who decided that they were willing to risk it all to get into this country. So it's just something I wanted to mention to you guys on this Sunday. It felt like a fitting day to have this conversation. So, you know what I mean? So that's it, Squirrel Tribe. I just wanted to bring it to your attention because I think it's important that we don't forget about the people who are dealing with this migrant crisis, this illegal immigration crisis firsthand. So that's that. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers is what I can say. And I don't know where else to go with that, honestly. I don't know how else we can help them except for try to turn things around with the way people vote. That's all I got. So I love you guys. I hope you have a fabulous Sunday, and I will see you guys again later. Bye.